Lord, this is it. Lord, come here. Be here. You're already here. I've already felt you. Some of the other brothers have felt you. The Holy Spirit is in this place. He's in this place, Lord. Now use us. Use us. Use us.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Power Up Man Cave. I'm Keith Withrow.
Gary Rambo.
And we're here to get back on some of this high-powered subject matter. So today, we're going to talk about insecurities. And always remember to like, subscribe, and hit your notification button. We welcome all of your comments and anything you guys may have to say as it relates to the subject matter or anything else that you guys would like to bring to us that maybe we can talk about in the future. And this is not just for men, this is for anybody. Insecurities is some things that all of us are plagued with. I've read that there's no human on earth that doesn't have some sort of an insecurity in some area. So guess what? If you're struggling with it, you're not alone.
For me, my greatest insecurity has been really public speaking and the anxiety that happens with that. And usually my body's response at times has been, to sweat. And so really one of the most poignant times that I've had that's happened, in terms of this kind of situation was probably back in high school. I was, big guy, I'm in high school, popular and everything, right? One of the team captains. And so I'm in the middle of the gym floor and, I got my Jordans on and everything, I got my jeans, got my football jersey on. Now my hair's cut and everything. I got, I used to cut my own hair. So, I used to put my designs and stuff in the back.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like, for me, that was like my mask.
Right.
Because honestly, when you're talking about public speaking, the fear of it, that comes from rejection, or in this case, mass rejection.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, what if everybody rejects me?
Yeah, it's the what if. It's
right.
The what if
it's
fact.
just all the what ifs.
Yeah, the what
right?
ifs. Right.
And that's the thing. The enemy is really good at using that.
Yeah, he uses the what ifs. That's what this is all about. This is what Power Up Man is all about. Power Up Man is using our issues that we've dealt with through transparency. We want to use our transparency to truth. In other words, we want to be able to be transparent with all of you all and talk about some things that we have had personal dealings with, insecurities, all sorts of things. We talked about the surviving divorce in the very first series. All these things is what Power Up Man is about. And we bring this to you guys and we have discussions about this stuff in order to help someone out there. I mean, we've helped each other. A lot of our group that we meet with every second Saturday week, we meet and talk about certain issues that plague men, and that's what this is about. So, this particular subject matter is insecurities, and again, everybody has insecurities.
Right. And the thing is that you can never conquer what you won't confront.
Yep.
Right.
That's right.
And so even with this right here, me and you had a real frank conversation about our issues with coming forward with this.
That's right.
And he told me, he said, man, just get you a rag, man, it'd be all right.
Like I talked about Bishop T.D. Jakes. He sweats a lot.
Right.
And he was so, he had the same issue.
Right.
And guess what? I seen some of his promotional art that has him with the rag in his hand. Like he's known for that rag, that towel being in his hand, because he sweats. So guess what? Embrace it. What you may think is something that makes you uncomfortable, get to the root of it and actually hit it head on and tackle it. That's and like embrace it. It's almost like you taking somebody else's power away. Like you think it's a weakness, but if you embrace it and you tackle it head on, now it's not a weakness because you've conquered that.
That's right.
And then you can take it and actually use it as a strength.
As we progress in our faith,
yes,
it's actually the way the Lord uses it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. I'm gonna be transparent with one of mine. And I had this issue. It's not an issue anymore because I dealt with it head on, but in my 20s and 30s, I had an issue of feeling insecure because I didn't go to college. So was I smart enough for college? Yes. I happened to go into the Air Force. Air Force, of course, everybody knows to get in the Air Force, you have to have the highest ASVAB scores. did well to get in the Air Force, did very well in the Air Force, had always had high scores in all of the academic portions of the Air Force and did well. But for some odd reason, I felt when I was out of the Air Force and got into the business world, I had this deal where I had to show everybody especially once I created my own corporation, and God blessed for it to do very well. And I had to always show everybody how successful I was because I felt inferior because I didn't actually have a degree. Now, what happens is usually when a person has something that they're not comfortable with, they'll mask it with something else. So a lot of times you will overcompensate in a particular area. So when you see somebody that's overcompensating, and a lot of people are doing it with social media, like they show all this stuff and they create this facade on social media. But you know what? That's not necessary.
Right.
Because all you have to do is get to the root of that thing. So what I found is that, hey, once I got in the business world, I found that most people didn't never even talk about your formal education after high school.
Right.
Because they automatically assume, and some of you guys may be looking at this and now know that I didn't go to college, but most people assume, or some people really just don't even care. Because at that point, I mean, you're generating revenue, you have a company. I mean, they can see that that doesn't mean that you're not intelligent because you didn't go to college. You just made a decision not to go, and I chose the Air Force. But once I found that, hey, this is not a big issue, people accept you either way. They're looking at your business accomplishments, they're looking at your intellect, they're looking at what you write and what you say and how you communicate, and they can see that you're not inferior. So that all went out of the window. Probably in my mid to late 30s, I had no more points to prove because I confronted it, and now I don't even think about it. So.
What's interesting is you kind of get into a place where you're looking at perception versus reality. Somebody could I have a certain perception when I look at you, right? Especially when you're going back then and you're telling how you really felt. Right. So in terms of the perception of you, everything you've accomplished, your company and all that stuff, I never would have guessed that you felt like that on the inside. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Like when I was talking about high school, I know perception I may have had, or people may have had of me at the time. Right. What I felt on the inside, being in the middle of that gym floor, I would rather be behind the bleachers. That was a preferred place to be instead of, right there, in the center of attention.
Now I got to go where the rubber meets the road. Satan is very conniving. He will use, all he needs is a small crack, just something small, one small insecurity, one thing that you struggle with. He'll use the right person to say the right thing to you to bring you down. And that small thing can be grown into something large, which some people never deal with it. And actually, again, go into a cave, go into depression. People have committed suicide because they perceived themselves as one thing and everybody else saw something totally different. That's right. When they looked in the mirror, they saw something. I've seen beautiful people call themselves ugly, say that they're not attractive because somebody else said that they weren't. Because someone said, it's always said, that sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Well, that's actually, to me, one of the biggest lies ever told, because words will hurt you. And because I've had people say things to me that made me feel terrible, and I had to get myself back together. And being transparent, I've said some things to other people that weren't so nice, and I know. So a lot of times, the things you say, they do hurt people.
They do.
We have to be responsible on how and what we say to people, because you just never know what insecurities they may be dealing with, and it could push them into a dark space, and that's not what we want. Exactly. We want to keep people out of dark spaces. We want to make people feel good. We don't want to have people going into a depression, a depressed state.
Exactly.
A lot of guys I know spend a lot of time hiding behind a facade, a mask. We talk about masks all the time in this group, in the Power of Man group. And a lot of times it's not necessary to hide behind that mask, because you spend so much time trying to be something that you're really not, again, that you can't even like find out who you really are and like be the best person you can be, because you spent so much time trying to be something that you're not, and not embracing who you are. I mean, think about it. God made every single person different. So why are we trying to be somebody else, right?
I remember a minister as saying one time, he said, "Have you ever really met yourself?"
That's good stuff.
Which lends to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because in terms of the mask, right? The true self is never the mask. It's always, behind them. You got to take the mask off. You have to find out, who you really are. And the only way you can do that is go to God.
That's right.
You have to spend time with God to find out who you really are.
That's right.
And honestly, this could be a really deep subject, because we got like a lot of stuff going on with COVID, people losing jobs and stuff like that.
Yes.
And that's just it. What if a person defined themselves by their job?
And a lot of people do.
Right. And what if you lose that job, then who are you?
Exactly.
Right? So when you really find out who you are, then that lends to purpose. Why am I here? What does the Lord put me here for?
Yeah.
What am I really supposed to be doing?
Right.
Then you'll find out, okay, well, man, I didn't know I could really do this.
That's right.
Particular things. Or maybe you already knew, but you didn't know you could, really, that could be honed in such a way that could, create a whole new way of life for you. That's
right. That's right. So insecurities, that's a deep subject. There's a lot of layers to this particular subject matter. So we'll probably come back with more as it relates to this insecurities issue, because it is the one underlying problem that a lot of people, not just men, a lot of people have, that causes them to not live a full life. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are so insecure, and they're hiding it behind these masks and making these fake facades and creating these fake social media worlds that they live in, these bubbles, that they're not actually going to get a chance to get to know themselves in order to live their most full life. I'm different than Gary. Gary's different than me. We're all different people. As I said before, God made everybody different. So why are you wasting time trying to be like somebody else? Be your best you, because nobody can be you. I'm Keith. I can be my best Keith. Nobody else can be Keith. There's only one Keith that will ever walk this earth. There may be a lot of people named Keith, but there's only one person that he created just like me.
That's right.
So everybody need to take that time to start to learn who you are. There's nothing wrong with looking at somebody and may admire somebody, or there's nothing wrong with that. But just be your own best self-study. The things that you may look at as a weakness can be your most powerful thing. Bruce Lee said that. If you look at Bruce Lee, everybody knows he's one of the best martial artists that ever walked the earth. He's brilliant. He was a small guy. He was light. So when most people look at a person who fights, he's small in stature. He doesn't weigh a lot. But he used that and say, okay, I can be small, but I'm gonna use that to my advantage because I can be fast.
Yeah.
And I can be swift. And just because I'm small, that doesn't mean I can't be strong. So he was small, but he was strong, and he was extremely fast. And he was extremely accurate. So because he knew himself and he studied himself, he basically exploited the things that he had that could be exploited to make him become great. And the one thing I've experienced in my life, if you do you, the best you can be. My father once said, I can only ask you to be the best you can be. Do your best. Do your best. So my best may not be as good as your best.
I get it.
But if I put out my best, my 100%, what I found is you will always rise in your group, because you're being looked at, and the people who see you, they know you're doing your best. Just like you can have a very talented athlete, but then you can have an athlete who's semi-talented,
Yeah.
but he has incredible work ethic.
Right.
If you can't outwork this guy, you can have the raw talent, but you don't have the work ethic. Guess what? The guy with the hardcore work ethic
That's right.
and the great attitude and thought process, he'll rise to greatness.
He will.
With that being said, again, we like to say, remember to like, subscribe, and hit your notification button.
Oh, everybody out there, if you let us know what you think about it.
Yeah.
Make sure you put your comments down. Let us know what you think. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah. Want to hear back from you guys, get some feedback. We'll be coming right back at you. And like we always say, at the end of all of our segments, power up, baby. Power up.
Power up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Man Cave. I'm Keith Withrow.
I'm Gary Rambo.
You all right, Gary?
Yeah.
Allergy season, come on! He set you up, man.
I know, right?
Put some pollen in your throat. Ready? Ready?
Yeah.
You shot? Yeah. All right.